This video, what we are going to do is we are going to log in using Firebase. So we'll start with a new Xcode project, single view app, next, and we'll call it Insta Northeastern University iOS. Okay, just Northeastern University. Okay, so we'll click next, and we'll save it over here. So this starts up. We'll go to the main storyboard. We want, for logging in, we need an email, password, and a button, and a label where we can actually show, are you logged in? Like, if there is any error, then we can show all of that. So we'll first put a text field somewhere around here, expand it a little bit, and we will click on this, and we'll come over here and we'll say that the placeholder is email. Okay, and let's put it in the center. Then what we'll do is we'll have another text field, which is the password. So we'll expand it. Okay, and this is a type of secure text entry, and we will put password over here and have it centered. Okay, so we have email and password. We want a button, so we'll click and add a button somewhere here, and we'll call this button as login. Okay, we'll center this up, put it somewhere here. And now we need a label. So we take a label, drag and drop it over here. And for this label, what we'll do is we'll call this as welcome. Okay. And we'll center it somehow. So I want this to look halfway decent on all the iOS platforms. So what I'll do is I'll select all of them and then add it to a stack view. So once it's added to the stack view, then what I want is I'll say that the spacing between them would be a standard value, and alignment is this, and distribution is fill equally, so they'll equally fill up. So now all of this will equally fill up, and this is stacked in a vertical manner. So then what I'll do is I'll move this around and see, okay, this is somewhere from the safe area. And now what I want is I want this to be somewhere, let's put it somewhere in the center. So let's say this is the center. So this is the center of the page, and this is how it looks like. So now what I want is I want the stack view to actually look correctly in all of the iPhone 8 and iPhone 6 and all this other kind of things. So what we'll do is we'll select this, and then we'll go to the constraints, and the constraint is 16 from this side, so we'll make it 16 from this side, and we'll make this from safe area, we'll make this 16 from the other side too, and from the top we'll make it, I don't know, let's say 200. Okay, so this is 200 from this side, 16 and 16 from this side, and it'll expand, and these things will select all these, and then scale to fill. Okay, so this looks halfway decent. Let's actually run this and see what is happening. So it's looking like this, but it's squished together. So what we'll do is we'll stop this and we'll select this and we'll say this is alignment is center. We'll just fill it. So once this fills, this will actually fill up the entire screen. The welcome comes on this side. So what we'll do is we'll select the welcome and we'll make it in the center too. So now everything is looking good. Over here, we'll run this. And this looks halfway decent. This looks okay. So this is good. And we'll stop right now. So now this is a view, but when we click on login, we need to go to another view controller. So what we'll do is we'll select a view controller and we'll drag and drop a view controller over here somewhere. We'll make space for seeing what things are. So there's another view controller, and what we'll do is we'll select a label, drag and drop it somewhere over here and say that this is logged in, just to see if we are logged in or not. We'll add a button also for logging out, so log out button. Okay, so we have a button. We put it over here and we'll call this button as logout. Okay, so that is very good. What we want to do is we will actually go ahead and create this. The view is created, but we want a controller for that. So what we'll do is we'll actually go to the code and we'll right click and we'll say new file, Cocoa Touch class, click next, and this will be logged in view controller, and click next, attach it to the project. So it is over here. Now what we'll do is we'll go to the main storyboard and we'll select this class, and then we'll go to the class and we'll say that this is of class logged in view controller. So this is a logged in view controller. Okay, so that is all good. So now this form will load up, and then once the login, we press the login button and we authorize, then this will go to the second one. So we'll click on this and we'll control drag and drop and do it over here, and we'll say we'll go from here to here, and for the segue we'll actually name it and we'll call it segue login or something like that. Okay, so this is the UI part for now. This is still not attached to Firebase, so what we'll do is we'll actually go there and try to add it to the Firebase. We'll come over here, we'll copy the bundle identifier, we'll go to this and we'll add another app. We'll say that this is an iOS app and this is the ID, and we'll say okay, and we'll register the app. I might have an older services file, so I will delete this and I will download the new file. Okay, and I will go to my project and open the Finder, and I will Alt and drag and drop it over here. Once I do this, it will say that I want to add these files, so I'll say yes and finish. So we are done with this right now. Let's see what they're saying. So they're saying that add this file in the Google services info file, and then we click on next. Next they want us to do a pod file, a pod in it. So we'll start terminal and we will go to our documents, iOS apps, and this is our folder. So what we'll do is we'll drag this folder, drag and drop Alt drag and drop, and then we'll go to this folder, navigate to this folder. So we'll say cd, and we are at that folder. Now we'll say pod init. Once we do that, we see the pod file over here. We'll open it, and then what they are saying is add this Firebase core to your application, to your pod file. So I'll come over here, I'll do Firebase core, but I need few other things. So I will add auth, and I'll add database. On top of it, I will also add keychain. So I'll say keychain Swift. Okay, so I get all these three things. Save it and close this thing. Then I will do pod install. That's what they are talking about over here. So I'll do a pod install. This will install all these libraries in our project. Once that is done, I will also do pod update. Okay. So it'll do its thing. I'll click next. Next, they are saying that open the, and if you see, this creates, they are saying that after doing this, this creates a XE workspace file on your app. Use this file for all the future development of the application. So at this point, the Xcode that we have open, we can just close this thing. And the terminal is done. So we'll close the terminal also. And then we have the XE workspace file over here. So we'll double click on that, and this will open this XE workspace. We'll expand this and see the Google services info plist is over here. Then the next thing what they're saying is go to your import Firebase. So I'll copy this, and I'll go to the app delegate file, and I'll paste it over here. Next, what they say is copy this Firebase app.configure. So we'll come to this, and we'll do a Firebase app.configure, and we'll save it. That's all we need to do. And we'll click next. And they have said, congratulations, you have successfully added Firebase to your app. And we'll go to our console. So in our console, we should have login Firebase, Instagram. These are all iOS. This is the Instagram NEU. This is the app that we have. Okay. Next, what we do is we go to the documents, and we are developing for the iOS. So I'll click on get started. So getting started, and we are doing authentication and password authentication. Okay. So we are over here. We have done the Firebase auth and all this other kind of things. We have done the Firebase, and we have configured it. Now this is create user and configure, and this is the sign in. So let's figure out how we can have the user sign in. So go to the main storyboard. So this is the main storyboard. We have email, password, login, and a welcome. So we'll come over here, and we'll create some space for us. We'll remove this too. So what we want is, we want our email, password, and welcome as an outlet, because we will use them. And for the login, we'll actually have an action. So we'll create some space on the top for the outlets. So we'll click on email and control, drag and drop them over here. And we'll say txt email. Okay. Next, what we'll do is we'll click on password, control, drag and drop, and we'll say txt password. Okay. Next, what we'll do is we'll have this welcome label, control, drag and drop, and we'll say lbl welcome. Okay. So we have these three different outlets created for the email, password, and the label. For the login button, we actually need an action. So we'll click on login, or we click login from here, and we'll control, drag and drop it over here. And we will say that this is not an outlet, this is an action. And this is a type of UI button. And what we'll say is this is login function. So we have a login function over here. This is very good. So in login function, what we want to do is we want to actually figure out what's the email and the password. So we'll say let email is equal to txt email dot text. Okay, and let password is equal to txt password dot text. Next, what we'll check is we'll check if the email and the password is not blank. So we'll check if email is equal to blank or password is equal to blank. In that case, we will say lbl welcome dot text is equal to email or password is empty. Okay, and we will return. Okay, so we have this. Then what we will do is we will actually try to log in. So for logging in, they are saying that this is what we have to do. So we'll copy this and paste it over here, and we'll create more space just to see the code. So this is in the view controller, and we'll remove this. Okay, so keychain is not used. We'll actually figure that part out. Okay, so they are saying auth. Now auth is not here, so we'll say import import, and we'll say Firebase auth. Okay, so we get Firebase auth. So what this is saying is Firebase auth dot auth sign in with email and password, and it'll start complaining because it wants an exclamation over here, and for the password also it wants an exclamation over here. This is just saying that email and password exist, and I am unwrapping them. I already know that they exist, otherwise they would not have come over here because I'm checking it over here. So now we are over in this thing. So then we'll check if error is equal to nil, which means that we were able to log in. At that point, what we will say is we want to perform segue. So we want to perform segue. So we'll say perform segue with identifier string. So the string that we had for that segue is this one, and I'll expand this, and the name was segue login. So we'll copy that, and we'll come over here, and we'll say perform with identifier, and the string that we'll put is segue login, and sender we'll say is self. Okay, and this will also require self dot perform segue. Okay, so what we are saying is that if it is nil, then do this, else we will say unable to log in. Okay, so that is good. So basically what happens is that this is just a warning. We'll just let it go. We'll use it later on. Reference property to LBL. Okay, so we'll fix that. Why did this not complain? That's okay. So so we are doing this, and then after that, like I think this should work. So we'll run this, and this should come up. Okay, so this came up, and I will I'll log in, and we are successfully logged in to this page. That is wonderful. Logout button doesn't do anything, so we are not doing anything. So that is wonderful. So we are successfully able to log in. For the logout, now we need to figure out the logout part. So for the logout, this is the logout button. Okay, so this is the logout button. So we want to create an outlet, an action for this logout button. So we'll do this, and this is going to be logged in view controller.swift. Okay, we'll create some space for us so we can see what is happening. And this is the logout button, and we will delete all of this, and then we will actually take logout button, control drag and drop over here, and this is not an outlet, this is an action, and we will say this is a type of a UI button, and we'll say this is logout. Okay, so we have a logout function over here. Maybe a different name. That's okay. Okay, so we have a logout function over here. So let's see how Firebase is saying that you should log out. So they are saying that for Swift you should do this. So we have Firebase auth is equal to auth. So then what we'll do is Firebase auth dot sign out, and this is signing out, and all you do is signing this out, and the auth is not here, so we will say import Firebase auth. Okay, so this should go away, and so the error should go away. And now what we will do is we will actually run this and see the logout works or not. So this starts up, and I'll come over here. I'm logged in. I will log out. Okay, well, it logged out, but I have to dismiss. So I'll say dismiss, and animated is true, and completion we will not do anything. So this is logged in view controller, and this will be nil. Okay, so we'll save this, stop it, run it again, and see what happens. So we'll come over here, try to log in. No. Okay, log out. We are successfully logging in and logging out. Okay, now this is not so good, because like every time I'm doing this, like I have to like do this log in and log out and stuff like that. Once I'm already logged in, there's no need for me to do any of this. So that is the reason why we will actually use the keychain. So we'll go over here and we'll add a new file. This will be a Swift file, and we will call this file as keychain service or something like that. Okay, so we will say import keychain Swift. Now we want to create a class, and we'll say class is keychain service. Okay, so this keychain service, what it has is it will have a variable. So we'll say var keychain. Okay, this keychain is a type of keychain Swift. Okay, and there'll be a getter and setter for that. So we'll say get, and there'll be a set. Okay, now we want to get and set some values. So what we'll do is we want to have a private variable for that. So that private variable we'll say is private var underscore keychain is equal to keychain Swift. Okay, so this is a private variable. And for getting, when we have this, we'll actually say, when we want to get this, we'll say return underscore keychain. And when we want to set it, at that point, we'll say underscore keychain is equal to new value. Okay. So this function should actually get our values. Okay. Initializer is type of, no, I don't want an initializer over there. I'll just have keychain Swift. Sorry. Okay. So we have a private variable keychain Swift, and this is a type of keychain, is a type of keychain Swift, and we will return the keychain, and when we set it, whatever is the new value, we'll set this private value to it. So this is just a simple class which has a private variable of the type keychain Swift. When we want to get it, we'll get this value. When we want to set it, whatever is the new value, we'll just set it. Okay. So now let's come to the main view controller. So what will happen is view did load will load only one time. What I want is anytime whenever the view loads, I actually want to check if there is a keychain already there. So I will say override function view did appear, and the code that I will write over here is let keychain is equal to keychain service dot keychain. So I'll get the value which is there in that keychain service function. So this private variable will get this value from the get function over here. Okay, so I'm getting the thing over here. So I get the keychain Swift, and I'll create more space. So there is space over here. Okay, so we get the value over here, and then we will check. Then we will check that if keychain dot get, and the key that we will get is we'll add a key, let's say UID. Okay, so if we check that we want to get the keychain get UID, if that is not equal to nil, which means that there is a keychain of type UID, we want to perform a segue and then go to this other screen. We want to bypass all the login part. So we'll say we'll do this. Okay, and yeah, so we'll perform the segue. Okay, now when we are logging in at that time, before performing the segue, we want to add a keychain in our keychain. So we will say over here, we'll actually have a function called function add keychain. Okay, and we'll pass an ID with it. So we'll say ID, and ID is type of a string. Okay, and then we'll say let keychain is equal to keychain service dot keychain. Okay, so we get that value, and then we'll say that keychain service, actually we can just set the value, right? So keychain service dot set, and set the value. So for ID, and for the key, we'll say UID. Oh, ID, sorry. So we'll say that keychain service dot keychain set, and we will get, we'll set this value. That's all we will do. Okay. And so we'll call this function over here. So we'll say self dot add keychain, and the ID that we will add is user UID. Okay, so this user that comes over here, we'll send its user ID to this function, and this keychain service dot keychain will set for the ID of that person, it'll set their UID. Okay, so it'll set that UID over here, and the first time when you log in, and then when the view loads the next time, it'll check if you already have logged in. If you have already logged in, then perform this segue and don't care about anything else. Okay, so that is good. But when we log out, we need to do something else. So we'll go to the login view controller, and after signing out, we actually need to remove that. So we'll say keychain Swift dot delete. Oh, we need keychain Swift over here. So we'll say import keychain Swift, and then we'll say keychain Swift dot delete, and we are deleting UID. Okay, so we'll delete the UID. So let's run this and see what happens. Why is this? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we were already logged in, so we'll log out. When we log out, we are coming over here, and I will log in again. So we logged in. What we'll do is we'll stop, and then when we run, since we have already logged in, the next time it will log us in without asking our password. And it logged in without asking our password. And log out will take us to the login screen. Okay, so this works great. And when we start again, at this time the keychain is deleted, so it should take us just to the login page. Okay, so we'll stop this and we'll stop this video.